The first time I ever saw salmonflies hatching, I didn't actually know what was happening. There were these huge insects that were clouding the skies. I had read about it, but I just wasn't really prepared for it. I remember just having the most epic day of fishing. I was wearing a dark black fishing shirt. I must have had like 40 salmon flies down my shirt. It was crazy. They started crawling up, and like most people get icked out by that kind of thing. I was like obsessed. It was great. My name is James Frakes. I'm the co-founder of the Salmonfly Project.
The Salmonfly Project is an aquatic insect conservation nonprofit. We are the only nonprofit fully dedicated to the protection and conservation of our hatches. I'm Jackson Burrell. I'm an aquatic entomologist and ecologist and one of the co-founders. It's so impressive how good rivers are at producing life, especially when they're cold and clean. But most anglers don't know, and most of our trout streams, if you go into the riffle areas, the more productive areas, we have 1,000 to 2,000 bugs per square foot. Like, that is mind-blowing, and you can start to get an idea of that when you just pick up a rock and look, but you really don't see it until you're in there scrubbing and ripping up the gravels and collecting all of them. It's a Serengeti under your feet.
The reason that our trout fisheries are as prolific as they are is entirely because of the sheer biomass that we have of aquatic insects in our rivers. Over 60% of a trout's diet is always made up of aquatic insects. That's one of our biggest concerns, is what happens if we start losing our hatches. That is an existential threat to the fly fishing industry, right? It's called fly fishing. It's right there in the name. It's the heritage of the sport.
We're out here today on the Madison River, one of the most important and best trout streams anywhere in the world. And we're here doing aquatic insect surveys. Salmonflies have declined or become locally extinct in at least 14 blue ribbon and gold medal trout streams throughout the Rocky Mountains. We in the Salmonfly Project don't just study and conserve salmonflies, but they are an amazing indicator species. Because of that sensitivity and what is known, they're, a great canary in the current. They're a great rallying point flagship species. We named the organization after them, not just because we love them, but we all know and care about salmonflies, and they deserve to be saved. And frankly, in a lot of waters, they need it. And if we don't change our actions, those declines will likely spread and affect more and more waters. And will we have good salmonfly hatches in 50 years? My hope is yes, and that's what we're fighting for, as well as all of our other hatches.
We focus in a lot on what we call the big three: the mayflies, stoneflies, and caddis. And they represent the big three most sensitive aquatic insects. Some of the threats to aquatic insects obviously are warming waters, reduced flows. There's also sedimentation, increased nutrients, pesticides, putting dams in. These are just a few threats to aquatic insects.
The only people that care about aquatic insects are anglers, and that's why the fishing community is so extremely important. It is vital to the conservation and protection of our hatches. Really, I think we need more anglers getting involved and actually fishing hatches and getting away from kind of the new fad of just fishing like perdigons and chubbies and getting back to kind of the roots of fly fishing. And yeah, fish don't speak Latin and you don't need to know all of the scientific names, but at least know your hatch chart for your local watershed and know like when the big bugs are coming. It's a lot more fun. It's cool.
Us fly fishermen really have a duty to understand and know aquatic insect hatches intimately. It won't only benefit your angling, which I can tell you it for sure will, but it will also allow you to understand what is happening on our trout streams.
Losing the salmonfly hatch or any other hatch, it's like, to me, it's the saddest thing in the world. What I love about these wild rivers is just the complexity. You can feel it in your bones when you come to a wild, intact river. The hatches are coming off, the fish are feeding up on top, you have like the swallows flying around, you've got the elk in the meadow behind you. Like when your ecosystem is intact like that, It is so special. And these days, it's just rare, right? It's not everywhere. There's a lot to protect, and that's what we're especially invested in the Salmonfly project, is protecting what we have, because it's still great and it's worth fighting for.